Welcome to the Tom Waller podcast, Health with No Filter. I am really excited to have a really inspirational gentleman that I met a couple of weeks ago at an event in London. And as soon as he started telling me his story, I thought, wow, this guy's awesome. And then I thought, this guy needs to share what he's done with the world. And it's such a pleasure to have Aaron McKibbin on the show, who is a GP Paralympic table tennis team athlete and champion bronze medalist at three games. And he's going to share his story of sort of overcoming adversity and becoming a true champion in his sport. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
So for our audience, you have bilateral talipes. If you could explain maybe what that is and how that's affected your earlier life, and then we'll get into your sporting career maybe a bit later on.
Yeah, so I was born with a condition called bilateral talipes. Some people may know it as clubfoot. So basically it affects me from birth. I was basically born with underdeformed feet. So I have very small feet compared to a person of my height being 6 foot. I have fused ankles from corrective surgery where they basically had to sort of break my feet and turn them back around. So when I was born with my feet facing backwards, and I've had corrective surgery throughout my whole life to basically slowly sort of like break them, let them heal, turn, break them, turn them, heal. And it affects I have very limited flexion and stuff like that, which affects balance and stuff. But day to day, it's okay. I've obviously had it since birth, so I know no different. And just get on with it, to be honest.
Which I think was when we had our chat in London, that was the underpinning of your attitude, and especially you spoke about your parents and how they encouraged you to get on with it, which I'd like to get into. But really, clubfoot is something that dramatically limits the motion of the lower limbs, doesn't it? So walking does become difficult, and does it affect simple things like negotiating maybe a curb or stairs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, uneven surfaces, obviously, if you imagine if you don't really have much ability to rotate your ankles and stuff, when you're walking on, for example, if you walk on like a hilly grass, your foot will sort of slip to take the position, as mine doesn't have the ability to do that. So I'm sort of like, well, there we go. I'm sort of going. So you feel, and it's, the only way I can describe it is my right foot is for, the feet. If you do have any female listeners, they probably have sympathy with me like walking in high heels. So I'm always on the ball of my foot. And, that's so you imagine doing that all day. You do that 5 or 10 minutes, you're in a bit of pain. So pain is basically part of my day to day, but you just sort of, I've become used to it now. My pain tolerance is very high, thankfully, for it. And I mean, I personally wouldn't change anything. There's days when you're younger, you wish you didn't have to have surgery and you wish you didn't have the pain you go through. But I think it's made a huge part of why I am the person I am today. So I also have a lot to thank for it, I guess.
It's awesome. It's such a nice way to reframe it, because I'm sure you have been through a lot of heartache and adversity. But you now compete in a sport that means being on your feet and reacting at super quick speeds, which is table tennis. I mean, how fast of a game is table tennis? Like, it looks quick.
It is an exceptionally fast sport. I'm not 100% sure on the stats, but it's the ball can basically travel 100 miles an hour, over 100 miles an hour in between points. I think you have something crazy like 0.2 of a second to react to the shot, and in that time you've got to judge how much spins on the ball, where it's going, where your opponent is, to be able to then play a shot back, which can sort of, one, counteract the spin, two, hopefully be an attacking shot, but also get it away from their strength. And this is all done really quickly. So it takes a lot of training to obviously get to that sort of standard of playing it. But that's what I also love about table tennis. It's it's so different. Every opponent you play has has strengths and weaknesses, and it's a sort of tactical battle at the beginning, trying to work out what are they trying to do to you, and you're sort of trying to work out what you do to them. So I think a lot of people put it in a way, it's like playing chess at 100 miles an hour.
Wow. And you say to get that sort of level, like, we're not talking club level, we're talking number 5 in the world, aren't you?
Yeah, that is my current ranking. I train 6 hours per day, Monday to Friday.
Wow.
Just table tennis, and then in the middle of that I'll be doing 1 to 2 hours of gym, which can be, it's a mixture of it, like explosive power to actually have to move around the court, and then a lot of conditioning, to condition the muscles, and especially obviously me having been Paralympic and having a disability, like even more like conditioning around my legs and stuff, because I sort of rely a lot more on, say, my quads to to create movements that maybe the an able-bodied person would result from their calf and their ankle doing. I have to sort of simulate that through my quads. So it's about adapting and finding different ways to sort of get the same outcome as someone else. So yeah, it's a lot of little things we've got to do, a lot of strengthening the little minor muscles that you wouldn't normally probably pay attention to as much.
And I want to get back into your early years, but just I'm on this roll. I'm thinking you do 6 hours a day, but you've been to 3 Olympic Games, which means what, 12 years?
Yeah.
Wow, that's consistency, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's how you become good at what you do, I suppose, isn't it? Just showing up every day.
Yeah, I mean, people think, when you get to a certain level that you can then ease off, but if anything, the better you get, it's almost like the more you've got to put in, because it's so hard to maintain. I almost think it's easier to actually physically get there, but then to get there and actually keep it and maintain or keep improving when you get to the really top, it's actually really difficult because, if when I first started, say for example, I did 6 hours training, I might improve 5, 6, 7%. Like now, if I'm doing in a week, if I do 30 hours, I may have improved 0.5%. That's because like the chances to improve now are very slim. So it's almost like you can't afford to waste any of them time as well. If you have a 1 hour of a bad session, that's quite a big outcome, because you're making such small incremental increases. So it almost becomes harder and harder. And I always make a joke to my coach, because we get the amount of footwork exercises we have to do to try and get faster and faster. And he's like the pain never stops. You get faster, you're trying to get quicker the next time, you're trying to get quicker the next time. And I'm like, when does this ever get easier? And he's like, it never gets easier, it just gets harder.
It's incredible. And I suppose that's a great link back to your childhood, because you've got to have something in you that keeps you going. Like you are made of different stuff. Like people would put in the effort, realize it's getting harder, and go, screw this, I can't keep going. And this show really is, about people taking accountability of their health and trying to remove some of the excuses that people have for not committing to that. So when you were young, when did you first notice that there was something different?
What do you mean? You mean
Did you? So you go to a schoolyard, all the kids are running
Yeah.
around chasing a football. I assume that wasn't what you were doing.
No, that's definitely what I was doing.
So talk to me about that. So that's different from what I would say. So talk to me about that.
Like I told you when we met in London, I grew up an exceptionally normal childhood. I was never told, can't do that or don't do that, or sort of sheltering away from doing things. I was always pushed in to do things exactly the same as everyone else, and I never had boundaries on me to sort of say, oh, Aaron, you can't do that. I used to love playing football at school. That was my biggest thing to do. I played football every single lunchtime after school. I played tennis to quite a high level at a young age. And the difference is I would come home and I'd be in agony. And I remember loads of times going around the house on my knees because I was in so much pain from kicking a football all day. Like probably shouldn't have been able to do it, but it's just what I loved doing, and it was part of it. And because I knew no different, it wasn't like, oh, this pain, because I had so much fun playing with my friends playing football, and that's what you did at playtime. That it was like the pain didn't stop me, because it was like, well, if I didn't play football, then I'm just going to sit on the side and talk to nobody. And I really enjoyed playing sport. That was my fun. So I just got on with it. And it was, maybe other children might have been told by parents, "Look, you're in a lot of pain. Like, don't do that today, and don't do that." It was always my choice. And if I wanted to carry on playing, I'd carry on playing. If I was in pain that night, then that was just a repercussion of it. But I was happy to do that. And my mum and the rest of my family were happy for me to carry on doing it. They always taught me to, you go and do that. You don't need me to do that. You don't need to be sheltered. Like I told you, the example is if there was a drink on the side and I was like, I want a drink, my mum would go, well, go and get yourself a drink then. Like, you don't need me to go and get that for you. You can do that. And I'd learn how to do it. And then, and I look at certain things now, like, it's all I've ever known. So, for example, the way I maybe climb into a shower bath, you may just step over it. I might put my hands on the side and, ease myself over, but that's normal to me. And people are like, what's that? It's like, well, it doesn't feel any different. The same way it feels like for you just to climb into the shower like it's nothing. It feels like me the same way. That's my version of it. Feels like nothing.
I really like that. And I suppose there's people listening to this, and there might be people listening to this who are young or have kids who are young with similar, and they want to wrap them in cotton wool, and and quite, emotionally so want to help their child as much as possible. Or we get into adulthood and we wrap ourselves in cotton wool and we say, "Oh, it's okay. You don't need to do that. Like it's all right." What would you say to that person who is starting to make a few excuses, who's saying, you know, it's hard. I don't have to do it. I can do it the easy way. What's your take on that?
I'd say it's probably a very normal reaction, very normal human reaction for everyone. You know, your inside is telling you to protect yourself. You're trying to protect your ego. You're trying to protect your sort of your feeling of failing and stuff like that. The best way I can look at it is if you take the easy road, you know, you're never going to get the best outcome, but also you're never going to know. And I always live my life by going, you know, I'd rather give it 150% and fail and be like, well, I gave that everything, I wasn't good enough, or I can't do that, that's fine, rather than sort of sitting there going, well, maybe I could have done that though. Like if I, you know, who knows? Like, and if you sit there, that for me, that eats myself up more than actually failing, because I sit there and I'm like, well, I don't actually know now if I could have done that. You know, like for me, when I train, my biggest strength of my training is I put the work in every single day, because then I can go to the big competitions, and if I lose, I can turn around and go, well, that's fine. I ticked every single box leading up to that. You know, I put in all the hours, I did all that was needed of me, all the extra stuff, and I wasn't good enough on the day. My opponent was better. I can accept that. That's life. That's what sport is. But the thing I can't handle is if I come home and go, well, if I missed that session on Thursday. If I didn't miss that session, would that have made a difference? I didn't do some service practice. My serves were very bad this tournament. Maybe if I'd done more service practice. So I sort of eliminate all them excuses out of my head. And then I have the result in front of me. And, you know, at the end of the day, we're all human. So if you do fail at something, everyone fails at something every single day of their life. But, you know, you can achieve real greatness if you really push for it. And if not, you're just going to stalemate. But you also, you protected your ego and protected yourself by like make yourself feel better. But at the end of the day, you're still going to feel crappy, because if you're trying to lose weight and you decide you're not going to go to the gym because it's painful, yeah, you've made yourself feel better. But then in 3 weeks' time, you can look in the mirror and be like, oh, I still feel crap. I really wish I'd lost some weight. So you find yourself back at stage one. It's just you find yourself maybe 3 or 4 weeks down the line there, rather than that initial feeling like self gratification straight away.
So, sort of thinking things over more like long term than the short term, satisfaction or gratification.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I look at it like you protect yourself now, but you'll feel the pain later, or you don't protect yourself now and you'll potentially feel greater later. But if you feel the pain later, you'll probably feel less, because you've prepared yourself for it. You know, you've built your way up to it. You're saying, I'm going to give my all here, and you sort of go in knowing there's a chance it might not work. As if you don't even attack the task, you've just set yourself up to fail either way.
And how, like you say, if I hadn't done that service practice, I hadn't showed up on that day, like how intense is your training schedule and how strict are you to it? I mean, is it like every day you've got to get this done? Like, how does it work for you?
Yeah, for me, my training schedule is like very intense, especially when we get into like roundabout now time, when I'm getting this, this is sort of the big part of my season where I've got internationals back to back. So I've just come back from Spain. It's a few weeks. I'll go to Slovenia. It's a few weeks. It's Montenegro. So it's back to back tournaments, and that's when it's like now it's all like go go go, and it's for me it's just been built into me now. I've done so much training over my life, and it's just like every single day is the same. And it's not like one day you wake up, go hard, next day you go soft. It's every day you just keep giving 100%, and you recover to the best of your ability to the next day give 100%. And if you're 98% fit, then your 100% is 98 the next day. And it's not, oh, I gave 100 today, I'm going to give 75 tomorrow to ease off to be able to give 100 the next day. You just keep giving 100 until you break down, and you get stronger from that. And then so now, when I first started training, I would do 6 hours a day. It might be 100%. Then the next day I might have been so fatigued that it's 70%, and then it's down to 40%. As now my body's adapting to it. Now I can give 100% 4 or 5 days in a row flat out and keep going and keep going. It's just like anything. You go to the gym and you lift weights. The first time you lift something heavy, it's difficult. After a while, what used to be heavy now is a warm-up set, and it's easy. And you just got to build your way to that. But I think that's the thing I notice a lot about athletes, and I talk to a lot of athletes in different sports. It doesn't matter what sport you do. If you're near the top of your sport, it's the same sort of mentality. And I see it a lot in business as well, to be fair. You talk to a lot of business people that are at the top of their businesses. It's a similar sort of thing. It might not be as physical, but the mentality of, we wake up and we go again and we go hard, and it's the next day. It's the same thing. And there's no rest until it's holiday time. And even on holiday time, you're resting, but you're still probably thinking deep down about other things. You're thinking, well, can't let myself go too much, have too much food here, or, stuff like that. So it's just constant. And yeah, that's pretty much what I love about it, to be fair. I love the feeling of pushing my limits every day and keep going and keep going.
I think it is a pursuit, isn't it? And I think Tony Robbins speaks about the definition of fulfillment is growth, like to continuously be growing and trying to get better. And what you're saying really speaks to that. And it's the same true with business. Like me and my wife just took a week off, and we're there on our week off, and it's like, well, how can we grow this, and how can we do that, and how can we, it's always part of your psyche and part of what you do. You've been to 3 Olympics now. You say it starts to get now as you train up towards competition. When you finish an Olympic Games, like, what's that like? Are you wiped? Are you absolutely wiped? Have you given it everything to build up to that pinnacle, or are you just like, cool, what's next?
It's a bit of both, to be fair. I mean, sometimes when you reach your achievement that you wanted, and you're happy with your result, it's part of it's a little bit of relief, because you've gone out there, you've been training so hard for 4 years, and it's almost like that feeling of like, I want to just, I've given this everything, I really want to achieve it. And it's almost like when you get it, everyone says like, what's that first initial buzz? And part of it is absolute like euphoria, you're over the moon. It's a feeling you can, and it's probably why I keep going on for so long, because I've never had this feeling from winning a Paralympic medal from anything else. And you get a natural buzz, which is so beyond anything, but it lasts about 10 minutes max, and then it's done. And then you're mentally wiped out. And we always laugh about it, because I remember in Rio 2016, so we beat China to win our bronze medal, which is like, in our sport, China are the absolute kings. It's like, it's like the Brazil of football. Everyone writ us off. We even writ ourselves off before the match. And I had to win the final match to win it. And I remember just absolutely just being on cloud 9, like couldn't feel my feet. I couldn't stop. My eyes were just like wide open. There's like a famous photo on my Twitter where literally I'm running around like celebrating my hands like this. You can see all the veins popping out where I'm just absolutely buzzing. We go back to our the village, and it literally is the final match of the tournament. So we're sat on our balcony of our performance director and our head coach. I'm absolutely shattered. I can just about stand up, because obviously all the energy's just been zapped out of me. And my coach just looks, my performance director looks at me and he goes, yep. He goes, well, that was really good. That's really brilliant. He goes, 3 years to go until we go for Tokyo. And I was like, come on, man. I was like, we've just literally finished. We're not even out of the bloody village. I was like, give us a chance. But that is the mentality, as soon as Tokyo finished, first thing everyone said is, look, because of COVID, like, we ain't got time to mess around here. We've got 2 years now until we qualify for Paris. And it's as simple as enjoy it, but in the back of your head is like, yeah, the next one's here. Like, the next one's around the corner now. And it's like now we look at it now. We were literally saying the other day, we've got the World Championships at the end of the year, and then next year's qualification for Paris is here before you know it. So it's just a never-ending cycle of, it's not like, yeah, you're done there and that's it, and enjoy it for a month, enjoy it for, some people do, but some people don't. I think a lot of the top athletes, while they enjoy it, they're still there sitting thinking about the next one, and you're itching. It's because, like, you get that feeling. It's like, well, I want to get that again, and you're only going to get that from that moment, I believe.
And do you suppose you finish that Olympic Games and you're thinking, oh, what's the next one? You're thinking in the next tournament, your focus is there. Have you had any thought about what comes after? What comes after professional sport?
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's where I'm at now. I'm sort of starting to think about, my time after. Maybe Paris might be my last one. What do I want to do? And it's tough, you've been involved. I've been playing professional sport. I'm just turned 30. I've been playing since I was 18. So it's all I know. So it's almost hard to let it go. That's half the battle, is actually trying to say, like, yeah, I'm going to hang it up now. And, deep down, you don't really want to, but you just know reality wise, table tennis, we're not multi-millionaires like footballers. We don't get paid much. It's not the sport you get into to make the money. So it's not like you can retire from playing it. But that is my next choice. And that's what sort of I'm in the middle now. I'm in the middle of sort of training full time now, and starting to work out what my next chapter could be. And I'm hoping the things I've learned in sport can stand me in good stead to be successful in some sort of other form. But I'm also very conscious that I don't want to be one of them athletes, that continuously play and they're just on the decline. and then they finish somewhere down. And I would never want to be a person who's, when I get to the stage where it's like, well, if I can just get to the games, that's brilliant. Like, that's not where I'm at. Where I'm always if I'm not going to be fighting for the medals, I don't want to be involved, because it's not in myself. I don't take any enjoyment from just taking part. So that's also part of my thing, is like making sure I try and stop near the top. And that would mean a lot to me if I can finish and be proud of going, yeah, I finished at the right time, where I'm at the pinnacle, and I sort of almost be remembered as one of the top players throughout his career, that he stayed, quite consistently at the top.
I really love what you said there. You said, I don't enjoy the just taking part, which I think will lend you to be very successful in life, whatever you choose to do. Which is a great attitude. You know what? I think that's an attitude that's lost. That mentality, like, it's okay just to take part, and I don't think that's good enough. Like, I personally don't think that's good enough. I'd love to know your thoughts on that, but because you can't go into a competition with that thought process. You get
No,
eaten
not at
alive.
all. I mean, yeah, I can't do that at anything, So, my family hate it. We play board games. I'm playing to win. I'm not playing to lose. I'm not just playing to be fun with the family. It's like, well, what's going on here? What's the rules? What we playing for? What we doing? Like, and everyone's like, Jesus, calm down. It's a game. But that's how I am. If I play Olympic games, or if I'm playing Tiddlywinks, I want to give it my best. And I think I wasn't like that at first. When I was young, I think I was Mr. Average. I was happy with just being I was happy being the person who took part, and that wasn't, I never wanted to be the top person. It was like, my GCSEs, you had to aim for A to C. I was like, well, I'm just going to aim for a C. My mum was like, what are you doing? You've got the ability to get an A in that. You're really good at that subject. I'm like, yeah, but I don't need it. I don't need an A. It says A to C. C is fine. So I'll go for the C. Like, what's the point in putting the extra work? You don't need to. And that's how I was. And sport completely changed me, because that taught me actually to always strive to be the greatest and to be the best. And and it's like, being average isn't good enough, because average isn't going to get you very far. And that's sort of the way it changed my mentality. And I even remember a really simple thing of us going on holiday once, and we were playing mini golf at the resort. And there was this one hole where no one could get it. It was impossible. And I think the next day, like, their family were chilling, and I just went, oh yeah, I'm just going to go off and do something down there. And I went to the thing, and I rented a little golf club, and I went and just played that hole for about 10-15 minutes until I could get it. And then about 3 or 4 days later, near the end of the holiday, we played mini golf again as a family, got to that hole. And I was looking around thinking, like, yeah, I'm not doing it now. And I'd done it, got a hole in one. Everyone's like, how have you done that? I'm like, oh, I don't know. And after it, I admitted, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've actually gone away and practiced it, because I just couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it going, no, why can't I do that? I had to be able to do it. And it's even that point, my mum was like, we're on holiday having fun, and you can't take it. And I was like, no, I have to work out why I can't do that. I have to be able to do it.
I love it. I love that attitude. Dude, we've gone all over the shop on this show. It's been really brilliant. You've inspired me just to up my game slightly, to to play. What's the point in playing if not playing to win? If you could leave our audience with some kind of parting word of wisdom, or something that you've learned over the years of competing at the highest level, what would it be?
Um, I think my advice to everyone, no matter what you're doing, is chuck yourself in the deep end and go for it. It doesn't matter if you are wanting to learn to play a musical instrument, write a book, lose some weight, take up a sport, start a business, whatever it is. It's you think of an idea, and you can give yourself 5 million reasons why not to do it, and probably only a couple reasons why you can do it. And the thing I've learned from sport is just chuck yourself in the deep end, and you're either sink or float. And if you sink, end of the day, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're not going to die from it. You're just going to not be very good at something, and that's fine, and that'll tick a box for you. But for me, I find that 99% of the time you'll find a way to float. It may not be that your initial idea might be to be up here and be a multimillionaire. You may not be a multimillionaire, but you may make a 200,000-300,000 pounds a year, which is way more than you was expecting. And you'll build up to that. And that's what I found in sport. For me, I chucked myself in that. When I wanted to start playing, when London 2012 won the bid and I wanted to go, I was nowhere near the level. And I just went from training, 2-3 days a week in London, 1 or 2 hours a day, to saying, this is what I want to do. And I need to move to Sheffield. I need to get to the national centre. I need to start up in it. And I went from that to training 6 hours a day. And I just sort of chucked myself in the deep end, never been away from my family, to suddenly living in a new city at 18. Just went for it. And I found my way to float. And you know, and I've never turned back now, and that's taught me a lot. You know, it matured me a lot. But back then, like I said, I was the person who was Mr. Average and would do the bare minimum. And I went from that in sort of like a spark moment to suddenly going, actually, I'm going for this, and I'm just going to, you know, go for it. And if it doesn't work out, then fair enough. I just want to see how it goes. And it's, you know, it's paid me well so far. So I think there's a lot of people, and I see a lot of people day to day that really have the ability to be amazing. They just don't back themselves, and I think it's quite a common thing. And I think, you know, I still get it. I still get moments where I doubt myself. Every single person, the best athletes in the world will probably doubt themselves daily. It's normal, but I think the best athletes find a way to sort of silence that voice quickly and just say, I'm not going to listen to that today. I'm going to go for this one. Listen to the voice telling me to push for it.
I love that. Chuck yourself in the deep end. What a great metaphor for life. If people want to follow you up to the next games, come up to Paris and your journey, where can they best contact you and follow your journey?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, so Kibster_91, and on Twitter as well, which is Kibster91, so KIBSTA. But yeah, I'm on all social media. So
perfect. We'll put links to that in the show notes. Aaron, thank you so much for your time being on the show today. I really appreciate it, and good luck in Slovenia. Is it Slovenia you're off to?
Yeah.
Good luck in Slovenia, mate. Let me know how you get on.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to seeing you progress with that.
Will do. Thanks very much, man.